That cannot be. That's not correct. And I think, maybe I may say, I expect that as CFO and custodian of your procurement processes, you are not proposing that the way you're reasoning it is correct. It can't be correct.
Commissioner, Peggy is not my friend.
No, that's why I say you could change the facts for purpose of my discussion with you, following your logic. Remember your logic is BAC is a committee, so no one individual can sway the decision or can determine, in fact, the outcome of a BAC, because it's a committee which comprises other people. Effectively, meaning it really shouldn't matter that you may or may not have had an interest and not declare it because it's a committee. That's the effect of what you're saying. And I'm saying, but it cannot be correct that is so, because then if you are correct, then there's no point to these declarations, to these committees, because it's a committee of people, and the decision is not the decision of a single person.
Commissioner, I feel there is a point, because in terms of these declarations, you need to declare if your family members, your close friends, are directors within these companies. So it's still a relevant matter that must be considered. Fact of this matter is that Peggy is not my friend. nkosi is not a director of Ngapesheya. On the signing of this declaration, my objectivity was not impaired. I still maintain that till now. However, in hindsight, I'm agreeing that with the sequence of events, there is a perception of conflict. But at the point of signing, I had no conflict whatsoever. I still have no conflict whatsoever. But the perception, it looks like there is something that's there.
Okay, I've heard you. Thank you.
Are you aware of what the administrative law in relation to perceptions of conflict is? Do you know that if there is an objective perception of conflict, that the administrative decision can be reviewed and set aside?
I'm not aware of that.
So in administrative review cases, you don't need to show actual bias or actual conflict. You only have to show a reasonable appearance of conflict or a reasonable appearance of bias. That is the law.
I don't know the law. So I think I'll have to engage it with my legal team, but I can't comment on that. But what I do know is that there have been cases that we've seen out, particularly in reference to perception of compliance and how those were ruled against. There's many cases that we could refer here to. I think the first one that comes to the top of my mind is the previous Chief Justice Mogoeng, and I think his wife saving the state's attorney presenting a matter to him. That was a matter that was deliberated on. There's another matter that I'm aware of which involves yourself, Senior Counsel Chaskosen, where your dad at one point in time was a president, you had been an advocate in a specific matter, and panel-based decision-making process was also considered. So I'm aware of the general matters around that in terms of the perception of conflict, but like I'm saying, I will address the matter further with my legal team for any further clarity.
Look, in relation to my personal position, the issue of panel was utterly irrelevant. And there's certainly no suggestion in any of these matters, including the decided judgment that because it's a panel issue, it is different. It has nothing to do with being a panel court. But what I want to put to you is, well, let's just establish, you accept now that those facts that are common cause give rise to a reasonable apprehension that you may not have been objective. You say you were objective, didn't impair your objectivity, but a third-party competing bidder would have had a reasonable apprehension that you could not objectively assess this, be part of the adjudication of this tender.
No, I don't agree with you. And I have stated the reasons why I don't agree with you. I'm only saying that in hindsight, there is a perception of conflict, which must further be assessed on its own merit. I do not agree with you. I was objective in terms of handling this matter. I have no interest in the company Ngapesheya whatsoever. And my reason behind that, I signed this declaration with my knowledge of objectivity not being impaired. So I don't agree with you on that perspective.
Let's put it this way. A reasonable competing bidder could have had a perception that you were conflicted. Could have had a perception that you were conflicted. I'm not saying that you were conflicted for now. I'm putting to you that a reasonable competing bidder, now in possession of all of these facts, could have had a perception that you were conflicted.
I don't agree with you, Essie. These facts have its own merits, and we've discussed that in general. If we present these as facts, it's as if we...
To you in this regard, is that a fact?
Yes.
Did you disclose it to the attorneys?
No.
While the present bid was pending before the Tshwane Council, you'd also been assisting Sergeant Nkosi in relation to a bid that Ngapa Share had submitted to another organ of state. Is that a fact?
Yes.
Did you disclose it to the
No.
attorneys? During the period in which the present bid was pending before the Tshwane Council, you were in direct communication with Becky Nkosi, the director of Ngapa Share, inviting him to submit a bid for a different tender from the Tshwane Council. Is that a fact? Is it a fact?
Yes.
Did you disclose
No.
it to the attorneys? No. In relation to that tender, you had written to Sergeant Nkosi saying, have sent the above to Becky, we need to regroup on it. Is that a fact?
You spoke at the same time.
Yes, Commissioner,
thank
apologies. Yes.
And you didn't disclose this to
No.
any attorneys?
No, Essie.
You had involved Sergeant Nkosi in a range of matters relating to the affairs of the client department, the TMPD, and these processes included processes relating to the payment and termination of private service providers contracted by the TMPD. Is that a fact?
It's not a fact.
What is factually incorrect in relation to it?
Sorry, Essie, what's factually incorrect is about payment. I involved him in terms of the purchase orders. No involvement whatsoever on payment aspect.
Okay, so if I were to say, including processes relating to purchase orders and the termination of private, you would be happy with that?
Yes.
And you didn't disclose that to any attorneys?
No.
And in those processes, through involving Sergeant Nkosi, you put him in a position where he got access to documents between the city and one of the competing bidders, including an invoice that shows the pricing used by that competing bidder in relation to the city. Is that a...
It's not a fact. I did not give him any information, nor did I put him in a position to receive that.
So you are suggesting that